Well, friends, our goal today is given two graphs, a graph of f of x, which is red, and a graph of b of x, which is blue, to express f of x as, or b of x as a transformation of f. And I want to walk through this process with us so you can see how I like to think about it. So I think the first thing we're going to look at is horizontal stretches or compressions. And let's see if we have one. So f of x is starting at -6 and it's ending at 3, which means that the whole thing is 9 wide. If I look at b of x, we're starting at 10 and we end, or -10, we're ending at -1. And so we are also 9 wide here. And so there are no horizontal stretches that happen there. We can do the same thing for vertical stretches or compressions. We can say that vertically, f of x started at -7 and went to 3, so the total height of f is 10. But b of x starts at -1 and goes to 4, and the total height here is 5. So we have a vertical compression of a half. Excellent. So once we finished our stretches and compression, and I'm only working in standard form here, doing compressions and stretches, reflections, and then shifts, we can now say, are there any reflections? And there seem to be. And so let's start horizontally. Is there a y-axis reflection? And the answer is no, because if there was, then the curvy piece here would be on the opposite side, and it's not. It's not. So no horizontal compression, or no horizontal reflections or reflections over the y-axis. And we say, is there a reflection over the x-axis? And here the answer is yes. How do we know that? Well, the peak is on the red and the valley on the blue. And so the high point went to the low and we have a reflection there. So the final thing that I like to do is I like to track a point. And so given the point -1, -3, or -1, 3, that's going to correspond to the point -5. And so we went through, there's no horizontal stretches, so we're still going to be at -1. There's no reflection, so we're still going to be at -1. And then we had to move -1 4 units to the left to get to -5. Let's do another point just so we can see how that looks again. If I take the point -6, 7, well, that corresponds to -10, 4. There's no stretches. It stays still at -6. There's no reflections. It stays at -6. And we would have to move -6, 4 units to the left. And so our formula, I have all the horizontals right here, will be f of x plus 4, a left shift of 4 units. Let's do the same thing for our verticality. I'm going to pick a point and track where it goes. So let's pick the point -6, 7. The first thing that we would do is we would compress it and we would go to -3.5. We compressed it by a half. And I'm only looking at the y value because I have this vertical compression. We're then going to reflect it over the x-axis, and so we'll be at 3.5 positive. That's not where I want to be. I want to be at 4, and so we have to make an upshift of half a unit. Let's try that one more time just to see how it goes with a different value. And now let's use the point, I don't know, 3, -1. If we make that compression, we'll be at -0.5. If I make the reflection, we'll be +0.5. I'm only looking at the y value. And then in going from +0.5 to 1, we went up half a unit. So what does that mean for f of x? The vertical compression by a factor of a half, we're going to have that half out front. The x-axis reflection, well, that multiplier is going to be negative, and then an upshift of half a unit plus 1/2 and we're done.